Okay everybody, welcome back to my second tutorial about loading maps, and I showed you the load map function. So just a review from my last tutorial. So basically, let me zoom in here. So basically we open the file, we get all the contents, we get the map size X and the map size Y, right, in the text file. So we know it's 10 spaces wide and 2 spaces up and down, and then we load them into our map array, and right here. So then, if you watch my last tutorial, you're probably wondering, like, why are we getting ones and zeros? Like, what are we using them for, right? So then this is the good part, and this is the part you all will like right here. So it's where our draw map function comes in. Actually, let me show you something. So, if you notice when I loaded my tiles, I made an array of 2. So on our first element, we loaded the first tile, which is the ground tile, and in our second element, we loaded the grass tile. Now, what do you notice about them? This element is 0, and this element is 1, right? So when we look at the zeros, we're drawing all the dirt. When we look at the 1, we're drawing all the grass. See that? So all we have to do is indicate that we want to draw tile number 0, and then it's to when we're drawing the ground, and then when we draw number 1, we have to indicate that we want to draw tile number 1. So that sounds easy enough, right? So now let's go to the draw map function. So we have 2 for loops, okay? And you know how when we got the contents of our file, we did everything this way, we got everything from the left to right, and so on and so forth. Now when we draw it, we're just going to draw it from here to here, then draw the second one and the bottom one, and so on and so forth. You can draw it any way you want to. You can draw it the way we loaded it, but I just did it this way. I just thought it'd be easier, right? So anyways, we made a for loop, okay? So in the I, we said if it's less than map size X, then keep on looping. And then we have another for loop right under it, with that's A, and then we say if it's less than map size Y, right? So basically we go like this, okay? So we draw everything to a buffer, and if you notice our parameters, I said our buffer and our bitmap. Our bitmap is tiles, okay, and that's what we're gonna be putting our tiles into, okay. And I put the array bracket because element of arrays, right? So when we drive it into the buffer, and if you notice, it's a new function type. It's called stretch break. What it basically does is allows you to draw it, but you resize it before you draw it. So my tiles are 128 by 128, right? But I don't want them to be that large, so I want to set them to 64 by 64. Okay? So anyways, we draw everything to a buffer, okay? And then we now this is the tile number we're gonna draw. So remember, we're placing in the parameters, we're putting tiles in the parameter. But we need to know if we want to draw tile 0 or tile 1, right? So that's what we do it. So remember our map array that we had up there, map 100 by 100. So we loaded all the contents into this map files. We loaded all our zeros and ones. So then we put draw tiles map I A. So whatever value is in that element of the array, they're gonna draw it. Okay. So then basically we're gonna say let's pretend it's the first time it's looping, okay? So then map I is equal, so I is equal to 0 and A is equal to 0. So at 0 0, okay, at 0 0, so this is 0 0 right now, the number was 0. So then it knows to draw tiles 0. So then it will draw the dirt. And then since it's the second for loop, A will be increased to 1, right? So then when A is 1, it'll be 0, 1, right? So this is 0, 1 right here. Because remember in my last tutorial I said if y is 0, then we're getting the cons of the first. Y0 is basically saying the first line, and if y is equal to 1, then it's the second line, and so on and so forth. So 0, 1 would be this one right here. So it'd be like, oh, so tiles 1 is grass, so I need to draw the grass. And then after, this loop won't be true anymore, so we'll go back to the for loop again. And then I'll increase I to 1. And then A will be 0 again, so it'll be 1, 0. It'll be map 1, 0. So map 1, 0 is equal to 0. So it's like, oh, draw dirt again. And then map A will be increased to 1 again, so say map 1, 1. So say map 1, 1 is equal to 1. So then let's draw the grass again. And then I'll keep on doing that, right? Until it has drawn everything. And then basically it'll draw the whole thing to the screen. And that's all it really does. So let me show you how it works in the program. Okay, so we initialize everything in Allegro. Okay, and there's one thing I forgot to add. Sorry, one more thing. Now you might be asking, what is I times 64 and A times 64? Well, this is the x coordinate where you want to draw it to, and it's the y coordinate you want to draw it to. So then you really have to think here, okay? Now just think, okay? So the first tile, we want to draw it from the top left corner, right? So the first time it loops, I is going to be equal to 0, okay? So what's 0 times 64? It's that's 0. So that means the x coordinate's gonna be 0, okay? And the first time it goes around, A is gonna be 0. So it's gonna be like A times 64, so 0 times 64 is 0. So the first thing it's gonna draw, which is the dirt, is gonna be at coordinate 0, 0, right? And then A is gonna be increased to 1, remember? So I is still gonna be equal to 0, so it's gonna draw the grass at the x coordinate is gonna be 0. But remember, the grass is below the dirt. So then A is gonna be equal to 1, so it's gonna be 1 times 64. So it's gonna start drawing the grass at the coordinate 0, 64. And then when it goes back to the top again, then I is gonna be equal to 1. So it's going to be like the x coordinate is 1 times 64, which is equal to 64. But the y coordinate is going to be 0 times 64. So then it's going to draw it at 64, 0, like in the coordinates. So let me just recompile this and just show you, just to make it easier to explain. So we move this over here. So then the first dirt tile, like I know there's no line through it, right? So you can't really see. So the first dirt tile is since I is equal to 0 and A is equal to 0, then it draws it at 0, 0. So it starts drawing at the top left corner, right? And then when we draw our grass, I is still going to be equal to 0, so the x coordinate is 0. But the y coordinate is 64, so it starts drawing the grass from here. And then when the I is going to be equal to 1, so we move over a bit more, and then we start drawing it from here, and then so on and so forth, and then we got it all across the screen. Alright, so that's basically what that does. So now let's look into the main program right now. So we initialize everything like we normally do, and then we load our map, the load map function, and then we put map1.txt. That's the name of the file name. And since I put constant char file name, then I will load the file name I specify, right? And then we load our bitmap, so we create the buffer, then we load our dirt and grass tiles, and then we do our regular game loop, and then we just draw the map, and then we blend everything from the buffer to the screen, and then yeah, and it's just a basic like the rest of what any other program is. And then when we run this, we get our map. And to show you this works, let's switch around some of the numbers. So let me put a 1 here, 1 there, and I'll put 0, 0, and save the map file. And if we recompile this, the good thing about map files, you see the difference? Just to show you quickly, you see everything you change, it changes. Now the good thing about loading from the text file is that it does not, your program doesn't have to recompile every single time. If you were to load it from the game, from inside the program, and you were to change a little stuff, then it would have to recompile over and over again. That just takes away production time, right? So the whole point of doing it external files, that doesn't have to keep on recompiling. It will just keep on running whenever you change something in the map. So anyways, hope you liked the tutorial, and my next tutorial is going to be on screen scrolling, what everybody wants to do when you like do platform games. So hope you like this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and bye.